ladies and gentlemen. This is Jock here from HTD, and tonight we have Dr. Larry, who's going to talk to us a little bit about his holistic interests and his holistic skills. Welcome, Dr. Larry, to our meeting, our little interview. How are you doing?
Oh, very good. I hope you're doing the same. I'm very glad to be here tonight to share some fantastic information.
Excellent, excellent. Larry, now I know a little bit about you, and I obviously, because you're a member of HTD, and you know we have an interest in natural healing and natural health, and you write a column for our magazine, The Magic of Healing. But tell the listeners a little bit about you. You know, how did you become a holistic doctor? What got you into it?
I was very much into holistic health as a teenager. I was very much into bodybuilding and protein shakes and eating yogurt and sprouting mung beans. And so I've always had an avid interest in the health field. Used to read a lot of books on nutrition. In college, I took a course in pre-med, to be a physician. And then I was exposed to by a neighbor, a chiropractor, and I really liked what they did. And so I became a chiropractic physician and practiced that for many years. As time went on, I studied naturopathy as I got involved in clinical nutrition and biochemistry. And from there, everything just kind of took out over the years. And I was doing this for the last 40 years.
40 years is a long time, and that's a lot of experience.
Yeah, a lot of experience and a lot of aches and pains. Exactly.
And what I find amazing is, and before we get on to your newest development, is often when I speak to you, or we're discussing maybe an article you're putting out there or something else you found out, I mention to you about maybe I found this herb that's interesting, and you do seem to have an immense amount of knowledge, because you'll say and introduce me to things that I've never heard of, that don't even think existed, and they have amazing healing qualities in the holistic field. 40 years is a long time to study. Are you still continually developing? Are you still continually
at this time, I don't do a lot of reading anymore. I don't want to get too smart, so I stay away from the books. But I am developing and formulating state-of-the-art products, biochemically, natural health products, to help consumers and also to help physicians for their patients. So that's very much my passion at this time. At this time also, I finished a book called The Magic of Healing, and it's being edited. It'll be soon ready for publication. And this will be a very interesting book that touches on not just about nutrition and healing, and talks about laughter is your best medicine. It touches on the spiritual and the mental connection. We really get deep into this type of subject, and it's going to be something given to the world that people can really learn from and connect and change their life.
And what would you say, I mean, from all your years of experience, what has been the biggest fundamental problem in health within not just the United States but worldwide? I mean, what is the thing that's the biggest issue now?
I think the biggest issue now, there's a lot of issues, but like diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure are the three biggest issues. They've always been. And diabetes, which is called metabolic syndrome, is really becoming bigger and bigger, more dominant, because before we used to just think about it as something genetic that maybe our parents or grandparents had. But now, due to stress, due to environmental factors, and due to diet, obesity, the metabolic syndrome or the diabetes is just increasing by unbelievable numbers.
And you've actually formulated a new product that we're going to talk about just shortly, but it seems to me that what you're intimating is the biggest problem really in the Western world is nutrition. Nutrition seems to be at the root of all our ills.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of... Yes, the nutrition is the key, but we all have unique body chemistries. And so what works for one doesn't necessarily work for the other. So when we speak about nutrition, we're not just speaking about eating certain foods. Foods alone are not going to keep you healthy. And as much as you try to eat organic, it'll help. Better your chances of not getting sick. But there are certain biochemical imbalances that happen in each and every one of us. And those have to be addressed.
And you've got a unique, I would say, not a package, but you've got a unique test that you give out to people, and a lot of your patients have utilized this. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it's called the Bio-Nutritional Evaluation, and it's an evaluation of the urine and the saliva as it applies to fundamental biochemistry. And really what it is that the whole body is a digestive absorptive organism. And what we mean by that is what we take in our food from the mouth goes through a whole process. How the body digests, how it absorbs, how it eliminates, how the cells oxidize, how does a carbohydrate metabolism work. And so there's so many different factors in this type of test that give you better insight into what your body is doing on a daily basis and then what type of problems you're headed towards. So it's very good indicators to show you what you're headed towards. And it gives you great parameters. Then you'll know if you're taking the right nutrition, if you're on the right diet, or we'll give you those protocols to help your individual body chemistry.
And obviously, this is it's not like a short-term fix or anything. This is basically getting intelligence on your body and getting intelligence on your lifestyle.
Right. Nothing is a short-term fix. The body takes work. It's just like, the American Dental Association for 20, 30, 40 years has spent millions of dollars on telling people to get their teeth cleaned, every 6 months. And it's only been in probably the last 10 years that now people are starting to listen that, first you get the disease and then you get the pain. Same thing with the tooth. First you get the decay, then you get the toothache. So what you have to be conditioned for is to stay healthy takes constant work. It does take diet, it does take exercise, it does take an individualized nutrition for your unique body chemistry, and it's always a constant update and constant working at it to try to sustain your health.
Now, one of the things I want to touch on here, which is really important, is the diabetes factor. Let's call it the diabetes factor in the United States. It's really, really rife, but it seems to be really rife within not just Caucasian individuals, but in a lot of it, I don't like to say indigenous people, but I mean really in Asians and African Americans, and it seems to be. Why do you think that is so prevalent more in their culture than it is in say Western side?
Yeah. I think it's prevalent because I think like the Afro-Americans lead the country in diabetes, high blood pressure. The Hispanics are not far behind, and then the Asians. I really think, number one, it's genetic. Some of it is genetic. Number two, a lot of it is imposed diet. It's cultural diets that people have grown up with. A lot of fats, a lot of carbohydrates. And the problem is we're developing insulin desensitized cells because we bombard our body with so many carbohydrates that we can't metabolize them. So carbohydrates break down to sugar and they're stored as fat. And this is the biggest problem, is the breakdown of the carbohydrates in the diet. And so these cultures seem to eat more carbohydrates than the white Caucasian.
Would you say then it was more kind of nutrition based as a problem, or do you think that the balance is pretty much 50-50, part genetic and part nutrition, or do you think there's more one than the other?
No, I think it's it's 50-50. And also there is genetic factor in certain people that if the parents had it or the grandparents had it, sometimes it skips the generation. So if your grandparents had diabetes, your chance of having it could be 50% of getting it. So sometimes it does skip, but it seems like now more and more people are being afflicted with this problem. And of course, there's diabetes 1 and diabetes 2. Diabetes 1 is the insulin dependent type, and the diabetes 2 is the one that doesn't require insulin. So, you're fighting two different type of health problems.
And it's kind of like prevention is that old saying, prevention is better than the cure. Do you think that you can, why have you chosen to kind of specialize in the diabetic field? What is it that has drawn you? Is it because you've led a healthy lifestyle, you've been into bodybuilding and fitness, or is it something else that's drawn you to it?
Well, part of that too, and part of it was years ago. My father was a diabetic, type 2,
okay.
And he was on the pill, and then from taking chronic pharmaceuticals and pills, he developed a kidney tumor. He had to have a kidney removed, and then because of the diabetes, he started developing atherosclerotic plaque in the arteries. It usually happened in the heart and the legs, And, there were a lot of complex problems happen to where he needed surgery and he died on the surgical table. So this was kind of like a personal thing for me to give back or try to help people.
And I think it's quite a scary thing. I mean, I know it's something that I kind of worry about. And my father passed young as well, and he was a very fit man when he was young, but he was an unfit man when he was older. And he was a typical Scotsman, Larry. He drunk an awful lot.
Yes.
And he liked to eat Scottish. The Scottish diet is not very healthy, as you probably know. Yeah, a rich diet and a lot of different high fatty foods. And of course, that all compounded into his body taking a beating. So, it's something that I'm concerned about, and I take a holistic approach to these things. But what is it that you've done? I mean, I know that you have a new product that's out,
yes.
but essentially, not trying to just plug a product. What is it that within your system that really helps the individual?
Right. What I've done is I've composed this natural product, which is a combination of herbs, and I really looked at the biochemistry of the herbs, like how they affect the system and how they affect the pancreas and the blood sugar. And I composed the product, and then I tested it on several people that I know. Some were patients and some were just friends, and to see the result of it, how it would help to lower blood sugar. And it was the efficacy was very good on it. I'm very satisfied with the product.
And it seems to me that a lot more people are moving toward more of the holistic herbal approach rather than, I mean, Western medicine obviously has its place. You're not yes. going to take a herb for a broken leg. You have to get it fixed. And of course, we understand that. But there is a great imbalance, I think, in Western medicine, which is mainly geared toward money, and therefore the individual is often forgotten about. So many people seem to be taking more of a holistic approach, and in the herbal world, and they seem to be getting better results, or even the same kind of results as they would get taking a drug. Do you think that's fair to say?
Right. I mean, I think that, people should try and holistic. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you can always take the pharmaceutical. There's nothing wrong. I mean, you have to do something to control your blood sugar. I also personally believe that people should go see a endocrinologist and, at least get checked over and, see what status their diabetes is at before they take anything on, on their own. And then they can make a decision after a professional has really, done the blood work and the necessary steps. And then they can determine what they want to do and what route they want to take.
What kind? I mean, you have mentioned that you had great results when you tested it with patients and friends, but can you give us an example of how bad somebody was, without giving any personal details, obviously, but how bad they were and what you managed to achieve utilizing? What is the name of your product?
It's called Glyconex.
Glyconex.
Yes, what I achieved is people took the product that had blood sugars from anywhere from 150 to 250, around there.
Okay.
And, we saw in a matter of like 4 weeks, the blood sugars were dropping like 30, 40, 50 points, at a time. And it's going to take, when you take something naturally, it doesn't work like a pharmaceutical, so it doesn't work immediately. But after
it's a long-term kind of process. Yeah.
Yes, and you will see changes in the body.
How quick then would you say, because that's an interesting concept, how quick would you say a holistic approach as opposed to a Western approach would take? I mean, I don't mean just Western, but
All right, but the pharmaceutical, see, here's the deal. In the Western approach with pharmaceuticals, they're going to give you a diabetic pill, or, and within like, I would say, a week or two, your blood sugar is going to start dropping. But remember, we're dealing with symptomatic relief. In other words, once you stop taking the pill, your blood sugar goes up. In the holistic approach, you're dealing from different angles. You're dealing on a nutritional basis. You're dealing on a dietary basis. You're also treating the emotional basis as far as the stress levels. Okay, and then you're also using specific herbs to act like a natural pharmaceutical, something natural to make the change in the system itself. So it's a little bit more, not just treating the diabetes or treating a blood sugar problem, but it's like just helping the whole body get well, or trying to get a better benefit and get a better health standing.
And so it's almost taking a whole body approach then, because it's not just targeting one particular issue that a drug would target. It's actually taking the whole lifestyle, I would expect.
The whole lifestyle, as you can see in all the gyms, how the gyms are on an uprising. Everybody's in the gyms, everybody's doing cardio, the younger people especially. Everybody's trying to eat right. You'll see these gyms, these young people, they're out there hitting it. And a lot of them are now educated on foods as well. They know that the carbs are bad, and they're starting to eat more protein and vegetables. And it's just that when we look at the people that are in their mid-50s and 60s and 70s, they've had chronic problems, and a lot of them have developed secondary problems from the diabetes. So
would you say that an individual can actually change their whole lifestyle? If, let's say, for instance, a person's in their 40s or in their 50s or 60s, they've never led a good lifestyle, they're having, atherosclerosis in their arteries and stuff. Do you think they can actually do a whole reversal of their lifestyle and save their life?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick example. There was I don't remember his name, this was years ago. He was an engineer, and he had a concept that he had a resort in Corpus Christi, Texas. And what happened in this resort is people came there, and I guess they stayed in a hotel. And what he did is, these are people that had blocked arteries. And what he did is he put them all for 30 days, all on a vegetarian diet. But the key to his success was it was on the beach. He made each person walk an hour in the morning and the hour in the evening on the beach. And you know that many of these people's atherosclerotic plaquing and arteries were cleaned out and opened. So is it the walking on the beach? Is it the negative ions? Is it the exercises? Is it the vegetarian diet? Or is it that they're removed from a stressful environment? You think about how many people feel sick, yet they go on vacation for a week or two, and you feel fantastic while you're on vacation. Yeah. And then when you come back home and go back to work, within 2 days, you start feeling sick again. So a lot of it is the stress from everyday life is removed.
That's amazing. That's an amazing example, actually, because it kind of takes into it takes everything into consideration. I mean, the whole aspect, the whole lifestyle, and you can't. But it's interesting. You can't really target one particular thing. Then it's a whole combination.
Right. It's really you can't just take some magic bullet, whether it be a pharmaceutical or a vitamin or a herb, and say, okay, I'm just going to eat everything I want and not change my life, and I'm going to, all of a sudden get everything fixed. It does take cooperation. You have to want to do it. And I can't see why people don't want to do it. The problem with diabetics is they feel denied. What that means is with their food, they like to eat sweets, and they want a cupcake, or they want chocolate, and they know they can't have it. So there's always that hardship for them of they're always craving something that you can't have. And so it makes it very difficult for diabetics to live a healthy lifestyle.
I can imagine that. I actually had a friend of mine when I was younger, and he ended up as a type 1, and his lifestyle was quite. Unfortunately, he passed. He went to a hypoglycemic coma on a train, and he had, and that's one of the hardest things before he passed, was that he felt as if he couldn't enjoy his life because he couldn't have the things that he really, really wanted and he grew up with, and so he even tried to battle it in himself, and he lost that battle. So it seems to me that your whole approach, I take it when someone comes to you, it's not just a case of they come to you and they buy a couple of glyconics. I mean, you maybe put them through some kind of evaluation, you talk to them, you help them, and you help them through their whole aspect of their life.
Right. I'll give them different diets that will apply to them and try to work with them, to make it a little easier. But again, I'm going to reiterate, I think that everybody should at least, go to their physician and have a physical, an examination and blood work, and really get checked out before you, take an approach on your own. Make sure, you're at least basically pretty healthy before you move on to go on this holistic route. You don't want to miss any parameters or any underlying problems that you didn't know you had. So
don't you think though, Larry, that and I've experienced this actually myself, is you will, for instance, in the UK, you'll go to a doctor and they're pretty much, they'll do a couple of tests or something if they think there's something wrong. But it seems to me I'll give you an example. You know what white coat syndrome is, isn't it? You see a white coat and then your blood pressure goes sky high, right? It's a psychological thing. So I am one of those guys. I don't like doctors. The only reason I talk to you is because you're wearing a white coat. Right. So
you know why? Well, I didn't wear the white coat today because it's dirty. It's got to.
Well, I mean, here's the issue though. It's you get scared, and I remember going in to see a doctor. I was going in. I had a kind of bad flu, and I thought, right, I need to get a strong antibiotic. I went in to see the doctor. Before I knew it, they wanted to do every single test going. It was going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. All I wanted was some penicillin or something. And they said I had high blood pressure, I was sky high, and I had to do this. And then eventually, they sat me on a bench. I calmed down a little bit. My blood pressure went to like 130 over 80 or 75 or whatever it was. It wasn't too bad. And then they kind of sent me home. And that made me realize that sometimes they do unnecessary testing just for the sake of it.
Well, I think they may do unnecessary tests, but you know why? I don't think it's all for the money. A lot of them are running scared. You know, everybody's sue happy. Everybody wants to sue.
Yeah.
So they're trying to cover themselves to make sure that they didn't miss anything because they don't want to be sued. They don't want to go through the hassle.
What is it that you would say to someone who wanted to look at a holistic approach? I mean, would it be beneficial them getting in touch with you, and you can deal with anybody? I mean, you can deal with people in your office, or do you deal with people online? How do they approach you?
Yeah, people can contact me online. They can have the bionutritional valve test sent to them, and then it goes back to them by email, and we get do a consult over the phone, and we sit and we talk about things and make resolutions and explain to them why they have what they have. So, yes, it could be done either way. Yes.
And then obviously you work out a plan for them, a nutritional plan, or you work out for them, what products need to take.
Right.
And so,
I always incorporate, I'd like to see their medical history or, their blood tests or whatever, or, what doctor they've been to, because, we need to work together, not against each other.
That's actually quite good. There's a lot of people they tend to have a more of a competitive approach to things. So what's in line for you now? I mean, you've not invented, but you developed a sleep product. You help people with energetic healing. You've got a diabetes product. What is for you now in the future? What are you doing?
Okay, I have a cholesterol product and I have a blood pressure product. But what we're working on right now, this is going to be fantastic. We'll know in a couple of weeks. I've made a certain elixir. It's for pain. It's for neck pain and back pain. And I would say everybody has that. And it's made with, I can't give you the proprietary thing, but it has essential oils. It's a thing that you rub on your neck or you rub on your back twice a day. There's no cooling to it. There's no heating to it. Something you have never seen. It goes deep into the joints, into the fascia, into the muscles, and it's basically there to reduce the inflammatory process. And so we're seeing if using this for, say, 2 weeks, a period of time, if it could take somebody in pain from 100% pain to 20% pain,
wow,
we've got a really good thing. And, people have herniated discs and they have spinal stenosis and they have arthritic and and it really doesn't matter. We're not going to get rid of those problems. But if we could reduce something natural, the inflammatory process on a daily basis, we got a really wonderful thing to help humanity.
That's amazing, because actually inflammation is probably one of the number one causes in most diseases.
Yes, body
as well as emotional points.
Yeah, it's really interesting you said about inflammatory processes, because there was a Dr. Perry Cohn many years ago wrote a thing on what they call the inflammatory diet, and he wrote a whole diet on foods that caused inflammation. And it's available. You can look up.
I've looked it up, because I tend to try and keep an anti-inflammatory diet going. I eat a lot of salmon and
very good.
My wife eats a lot of chocolate.
I know. Good chocolate is good. I know. I think I shipped some to your wife.
Yeah.
Can't get it, but I bribe you with chocolate. But the thing is, the key is, there's a whole uprising with casein and gluten. And, there's a lot of inflammatory factors out there, inflammatory foods that people don't realize that don't have good digestive systems, don't have good gut systems and good absorption systems. And a lot of these foods cause inflammatory disease in a person.
God, that's it's going to be exciting to see what you come up with. It
Yeah,
really
I'm
is.
hoping this thing works out, this liquid, because you don't have to take it, you just rub it on, and it could revolutionize the world for inflammation.
What do one last thing that you've got to say to people who are listening, what would be the biggest tip that you can give them in their lifestyle now that they can do to change?
The biggest tip I would tell you in lifestyle is this: very simple. Eat protein and vegetables. That's it. Drink water. I want you to exercise every day, even if it's just walking for 30 minutes. I just want you to walk a nice moderate pace every day. And the last thing is you have to work the emotional. And the emotional comes in taking time at night to either meditate or listen to some classical music, something to release the stress and anxiety of your daily activities. Another thing is you got to learn to let go of the past. You got to learn to let go of all the negative responses and negative things that have beliefs that you have. And you have to stop being a victim, because a lot of people in this world live in victim energy. And as long as you live in victim energy, you cannot move ahead in life and have a prosperous, healthy life.
That's fantastic advice. And I just want to say to everybody, guys, that what we've decided, Larry, is that we're kind of going to do these interviews with you, ask Dr. Larry, hopefully once a month, and we're going to tackle all sorts of natural health issues and health issues and things. So this is just the start of what we hope is going to be a regular point where you can actually help lots of people, and they can ask on Holistic Therapies Directory site, or they can ask directly by emailing you, and we'll have a chat and things about it. So there's a lot of good things coming up for the future. And I'm really excited about it, because when I talk to you, I learn something new. So it's kind of selfish for me as well. Anyway, listen, it's been absolutely amazing having you, Dr. Larry. And I'll just reiterate to everybody else, if you want to get in touch with them, what's the website they can get you on?
You could get me on www.nutraorgana.com. That's NUTRAORGANA.com. Or you could go to my email, which is drlarrydirect, that's DIRECT, @gmail.com.
There you go, guys. If you have a problem, if you want to talk to Dr. Larry, if you've got a nutritional issue, if you want to talk to him about your diabetes, hit him up. You will not regret it. As you can see, he's a very personable man and has a great passion for the holistic industry. Dr. Larry, it's been great having you, and I look forward to doing this again and more regularly for everybody.
Okay, thank you, Jock, and I appreciate it.
God bless.
God bless.